Touch somebody and say, the mercies of God. God has shown up been merciful to us, hasn't he? I mean, God has shown up been merciful to us. You don't believe it? Well, tell me how you got up this morning. Oh, he's shown enough been merciful to us. He says to us, yes, that I've supplied you with everything that you got, and you don't really deserve what you have. He said, in essence, I've given you mercy. I've given you what you don't have, don't need, don't have, and couldn't have without me. But at the same time, he said, I allowed you to have it. And while having it, I've allowed you to have it and have it more abundantly. Can I preach it here for a few minutes? He said, yes, in view of the mercies of God. He says, in other words, I urge you to take a look at how you are where you are. Oh, touch somebody and tell them, look at where you are and how you are. He says, in view of the mercies of God. In other words, yes, in view of what God has done for you that you could not do for yourself. In view of the mercies of God, he says, oh, I wish I had somebody in here listening for a second. I know you got a good position. I know you're doing pretty good. No, you're still wearing the finest clothes. You're still getting your hair cut, your hair done, your weave set. You're still, yes, being able to get the newest shoes. You moved from square toes to pointed toes. And so, yes, and I know you're doing all right. But at the same time, you didn't get what you got on your own. You got it by the mercies of God. Because everything you got, you don't have it because of who you are. For all of us have sinned and come short of the glory of God. And sin, my brothers and sisters, is an enemy to what you got and who you are. But God says here, and Paul says, oh, brothers and sisters, I urge you to take a look at in view of the mercies of God. Some of us know we've just made it just by the skin of our chin. But thank God we made it. That storm you were in that you never thought would end, you made it through it by the mercies of God. Now, just in case, yes, you sitting in the ivory bed of comfort, come by to tell you today those days that you didn't know how you was going to shine your silverware. You made it by the mercies of God. So Paul here says, in view of the mercies of God. He said, now when you think about what God has done, you think about how he has paid already the price for your salvation. When you think about how he loves you, so much so until he gave his only begotten son. Paul says, now listen, I urge you to look at it again. I urge you to inwardly take an assessment now, because anybody in here that's talk about they're going to heaven, he said, well, now you're not getting there on your own accord, but you're getting there because Jesus paid it all in view of the mercies of God. He said, now mercy, yes, is not only God's unmerited favor, but he said, now mercy is something that you can't buy, something that you can't pray on, is something that you can't pray up. It ain't something, he said, mercy is something that God gives to the undeserving. He said, mercy, 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 mercy. Oh, I feel that mercy. Mercy, 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 mercy. Lord, have mercy. Mercy, mercy, mercy. Anybody in here needs some mercy? Mercy says you sin and you're guilty. But mercy says, I'm going to let you off. You don't deserve to get off, but I'm going to let you off. He said, now when I let you off, he said, now mercy says, in view of this, he says, you ought to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice. He said, just like Jesus sacrificed his life, you ought to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice. I'm going to be through in a few minutes, but can I ask you a question in here? Anybody here love my Jesus? Anybody in here love the Lord? Anybody here really love him? If you really love him, you ought to want to sacrifice for him. Yeah. Can I talk for a few minutes? Yeah. Sacrifice. I would be asleep, but I'm going to give up my sleep to sit with the Lord for a while. I would be at the ball game, but I'm going to give up that time of pleasure to be with the Lord for a while. You ought to want to sacrifice. And that's where the world comes in. The world says, you don't need to sacrifice nothing. This is a dog-eat-dog world. Every man for himself and every child on his own. The world says that if I got to step on you to get to where I'm going, so be it. The world says that if you're hungry, that's your problem. It ain't mine. I'm not sacrificing anything I got. The world says that just because you call yourself this, that, or the other, that don't mean that I got to bend to your wishes. The world says that the bigger you are, the better you are. The world says the more clothes you got, the freer you are to dress the way you want to dress and be how you want to be. The world says. Anybody here know what the world is saying? The world is saying, yeah, it's your thing. Do what you want to do. I can't tell you who yes, the world says. I wish I had somebody in here. The world is a materialistical thing. The world says get stuff, the most stuff you have. The world says eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow you die. The world says get all you can from anybody you can. The world says if you need it, take it. If you can't take it, steal it. If you can't steal it, kill to get it. The world says get high, get high, get high, get high, get high on coke, get high on dope, get high on gin, get high, get high. The world says you ought to look like you're a part of the world, but Paul says here that you ought to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice. That's what Paul says here. Paul says, yes, if you think that God wants you to be like the world, then you're wrong. He said, know ye not, in another book called Corinthians, that ye are the temple, your bodies are the temple of God. He said, know ye not that there are some requirements that God has. You have to resign yourself to God. Touch your neighbor and say, resign yourself to God. See, you and I need to understand that we must transcend the norms of the world. And to do that, we got to resign ourselves to God. Now, when you resign yourself to God, you say, God, all I am is yours. You say to God, God, my body belongs to you. You say to God, God, my mind belongs to you. You say to God, everything I am belongs to you.